Call this meeting to order. I have Councilwoman Cook leading us in pledge and Councilman Nakhan leading us in prayer.
Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we come in your Son's name. We come to ask for your graces in leading us in a prayerful decision-making time. Ask us to guide our hearts and minds in doing what is best for our city and our parishes and our local municipalities. May we work for the betterment of the whole and work toward a meaningful end that will be satisfactory to all. We ask this in the name of your Son, our Lord, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That was lovely. We welcome you all here today for budget review. This meeting is a departmental budget review session. If you wish to address the council, a green card should be filled out and given to Council Clerk Veronica L. Williams, seated to my left. I'm requesting that the first row to my left be used for media only and the right side of the auditorium be reserved for budget and finance staff. I am also requesting that if anyone approaches the podium, please state their name and title for the official record. Lastly, food and drinks are not allowed in the auditorium, and all cell phones and electronic devices shall be silenced from this point forward. This meeting is to address matters related only to the proposed budget document. Please, we request all other matters specific to city, parish, government, business be directed to the administration and that it not be addressed at this public forum. This budget document has been posted on the website at www.lafayettela.gov under Finance. Public comment will be held immediately following each budget review matters related to each specific budget's department. All council members are reminded today that the goal is to eliminate any wrap-up items as possible. With that being said, the main possible actions a council member may propose is one of the following: a general amendment where the entire council agrees on a proposed amendment, or a separate amendment when a council member objects to the budget change. The meeting today is for wrap-up for the proposed 2020-2021 budget. The order of business shall be as follows. First, any new items for finance and administration, then review of general amendments, the review of separate amendments, the review of wrap-up items, and any new items from the council. Council members Lewis, Gilbo, and Lazard are unable to attend today's budget review. As budget vice chair, I'll be presiding officer. For joint meetings, I will alternate with none other than budget chair, Mr. Kevin Nakhan. Council announcements. Do I have anything related to the budget? I see nothing. Mayor, I don't see an opportunity to let you say something. Do you have anything you want to say? Hold on. Floor is yours.
I could have saved you the button. Nothing to add. Just appreciate your service.
And we appreciate you. All right, budget wrap-up, new finance housekeeping items. We will begin with finance and take up any, quote, housekeeping items that need to be proposed. Finance, do you have any additional items to request at this time? I need to make you just live the whole time.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and thanks for giving me this chance to do some housekeeping. I think we've combined some housekeeping for other departments and divisions as well. So I'll go through these. You have them numbered before you. The title of the document is Additional Amendments for Consideration. Amendment number 1.
Hold on, let us maybe show us what we're looking at. So
We have so many papers.
we have so many papers in front of us, so maybe give us a view of what we're supposed to be looking at so we
You
can all get on
only
this.
have like a ream of paper in front of you. Just
Okay, so everyone, I imagine it's going to be in your yellow folder, the first one, and they're probably in order. So
Yeah, and it's highlighted yellow. It says additional amendments for consideration at the top.
Thank you, V, because mine's green.
Oh, mine is green too. I just saw yellow. When you said yellow
Veronica?
folder.
all right, go
Okay,
ahead.
we-
The
yeah.
floor is yours.
Okay.
Okay, additional amendments for consideration. Amendment number 1, change to correct council admin sections uniform account. You may recall we had an error, we had a negative amount in there. So it is on the, you don't need to flip through the budget book, but I'll tell you, it is on page 100 of the budget book. It is presented in the budget book as a negative $225. The council's office is requesting a total of $500. Therefore, there needs to be an adjustment of $725, and that is to restore the council's uniform account.
And that could be reduced to 500.
Yeah,
Just-
we got it to 500.
So
We-
it is 500?
yes,
Okay, I
ma'am.
didn't want it to be 725, okay.
No, because we had that negative amount in there.
Oh, that's what happened. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Amendment number 2 is to increase the council admin section's travel and meeting account by $5,050. That is on page 101, and that is for the council administrative offices, not the city or parish councils, and that is to increase their travel and meetings account by $5,050 on page 101. So the new total for that account will be $10,100.
I have a quick question. Is this being added new, or this isn't something that we already discussed, is it?
No, these are all, we may have discussed them, but we didn't actually put an amendment out there, a
Got it.
change. So we are putting forth those changes by mentioning these right now.
Well, I guess, Fee, let me ask, is this you and your department?
This is for council meetings.
I see, got
Right,
you. Now I'm
thank
with
you.
you. Okay, all right, never mind, go ahead. This is for, so public listening, this is for these type of meetings, okay. All right, and then next, go ahead.
Amendment number 3, to increase the city council's printing and binding account by $4,925. This is on page 103. The budgeted amount was $3,500, and they're asking for an increase of $4,925 for a corrected total, for a new total of $8,425. And some of this, I might add, is a result of when we do across-the-board cuts and changes and stuff like that, we're usually looking at account numbers. We're not usually looking at a division or what's going on in there. And so some of these, I believe she is asking for previous amounts to be restored.
Right, and this is only for the city council, and is to bring it to an equal amount of the parish council. For some
Okay.
reason, the parish council has this number, but the city council is lower. And of course, we have longer meetings, more printing, and more
Oh, no, our meetings
publications.
go longer, not because we talk more, I'll say that. But no,
So
it's
the
even
next
if-
two items is just to raise it to equal the amount of the
It's
parish
equal,
council.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Amendment number 5 is also for Veronica's department. This is to change, no, I'm sorry.
CAOs.
It's a CAO's Small Business Support Section, Delta Sigma Printing and Binding. That is to change the amount from 1,000 to 2,000 on page 116. And V, I thought that was for you.
Yes, I had requested it because Delta Sigma Theta has been doing this booklet, and it's for minority-owned businesses. And LCG has partnered with Delta Sigma Theta for the last 20 years, but they do it every other year. So at some point in the last couple of years, they decided to, instead of the $2,000, it's only done, like I say, every other year. They decided to put 1,000 and then 1,000, but we don't use that 1,000 because we only do it, so they move in that 1,000 that's unused back to the current budget to make it the 2,000.
And we charge it under the CAO, Small Business Support
Administration,
Program.
yeah.
So that makes sense. Amendment number 6, this is coming from the administration. They are asking to change funding for the nature station to provide funding for 6 months. That is amendment number 6. It is on page 219, 65, 81, and 132. The net result is an increase in funding to the nature station of $363,116 to adjust the total from $7,654 to $370,770. And again, that's to restore 6 months of funding to the nature station. Amendment number 7 is,
Well, back up, I'm seeing Science Museum, and I have some questions about that.
so the nature station is recorded in the Science Museum Fund?
Now I'm with you. Never mind, go ahead.
Okay, I had the same question. Uh, Amendment number 7. Amendment number 7 is to delete the city marshal's request to replace 2 police vehicles. This is in Fund 401 on page 105, and also again on page $303, and that is to reduce his request by $90,000 for 2 police vehicles.
And does that go back into the city general fund? Is that where that goes back to?
No, that's capital money, that's restricted capital money, so it has to stay in Fund 401.
Got it, okay. Y'all have money.
That's all we're trying to get.
Amendment number 8. Amendment number 8, this is from the administration with discussions with, I believe, Mrs. Cook. This is to adjust Parks and Recreation tennis section accounts. These accounts are on page 200, page 65 and 80, and then the internal appropriation is on page 132. And that is to restore funding for the tennis program. Those accounts were zeroed out, and they would like to restore $21,850 in total. You have the itemization there in front of you under amendment number 8.
Ms. Cook has the floor.
Yes, thank you for this, and this is in connection with the contract, the future contract that we're trying to do with an independent group. But this money does not include capital, correct? Because I got a different number from administration, but I think it included some capital, so.
This number is just O&M, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay, I just need to confirm that. All right, thank you.
Amendment number 9, it's a long amendment, and it covers several different page numbers. This amendment is to budget duplicating equipment expenses in the appropriate funds and departments. When we had a printing department and a printing fund here, we had staff who was responsible for all the copiers and that sort of thing, and they did all the billing there, and then the billing was in turn transferred to the different departments through the A&G allocation. But now, since we don't have the printing department here, we are transferring the responsibility for those duplicating equipment and expenses to the departments and the divisions that have the physical machines. And so that's what this budget amendment does, is it takes it from the city general fund, and it'll also be removed from the A&G calculation next year, because it will be a direct charge now to those divisions and departments, and that is listed under amendment number 9. Amendment number 10 is to add back the police department's accreditation administrator position. This position was inadvertently removed from the Manning table, and we would like to add it back in. That is on page 150 and on page 331.
And can I get some information on what this position is?
Yes, ma'am, you sure can, but
Chief?
not from me.
Deflect. Please, hold on, let me get your mic live, and please remember to introduce yourself.
Interim Chief Scott Morgan. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So the position, accreditation position is the manager over our standards. It's in relation to our CALIA standards that we have. This is nationwide acceptance of policies and procedures. And that's the person who, throughout the years, has to gather actual proofs. So we can't just say we have that. We actually have to go throughout the year, whether it be pictures, pulling documents, stuff like that. We have to prove that we actually meet those standards and then upload it. So it's a pretty daunting task.
Okay, so this is someone we've had in the past, but it was left out of your budget, is that what you're telling me?
Currently, we had a captain's position in there, which was really expensive. We pulled that captain, put them doing police work where they should be, and that only leaves us with a part-time person, which is too much work for it. We had this position, and we've been trying to fill it. In fact, I planned to fill it by now, but cost savings, that's one of the positions that were being looked at.
Okay, thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions, so thank you. That's all we have.
Thank you. So that was amendment number 10.
Okay.
Amendment number 11, based on the council's action on, the city council's action on Tuesday night, we have to adjust revenues in the budget for the city millages. So after looking at that, we also saw an opportunity to go ahead, we had to reduce city property tax revenues because you reduced the millages that are coming in. But since sales taxes for the current year have come in above, remember, we budgeted this money in April of this year, at the very beginning of the pandemic. So through last month, we've had some extra sales taxes. So to offset the reduction of the property taxes, I'm asking to go ahead and adjust the projected figure, not the budget, but the projected figure for current year sales taxes based on what we've actually already received. So that'll kind of help offset the decrease in the property taxes. So those are itemized. It's every millage in the, every city millage that is in the proposed budget is being reduced. And then we are adjusting the city sales tax collections in the city general fund to offset that reduction.
Okay, thank you.
Amendment number 12. When we did the layoffs and the reductions in the Parks and Recreation Fund, Civil Service has a process they go through that has a bumping effect, and different people could bump different jobs. Well, after the dust settled, some people were retained that because they had seniority and they had the ability to bump. So amendment number 12 is to make adjustments in the Parks and Recreation budget to accommodate the end result of the Civil Service bumping process. I know you guys have several things on the, in coming to talk about, but going ahead and approving this will not interfere with any of those other transactions that you want to do. This will just help us maintain the current people who are here working and on payroll today. That will help us keep that in order so they will be here and on payroll November the 1st.
Okay.
And then not on, I'm going to spring this one on Kearney. We have one that is not listed, so I'm going to name it amendment number 13. And you may recall that we removed city streetlights from the budget for the city general fund. It has nothing to do with the parish. We had $1,675,000 budgeted from the city general fund to pay for city streetlights. We had a legal opinion and we thought everything was ironed out, but I think we understand right now we don't have everything clearly ironed out. So I'd rather put this back in the budget and leave it in the budget and give us some time to continue working on it. The plan was to transfer those streetlights to LUS and let LUS just take care of it. But we need to make sure that we're not violating any of our bond covenants and those type of things. So you have our word that we're going to continue working on it. LUS and the managers have agreed, Lowell has agreed, and he was going to talk to his managers, that we will continue to work on this, but for right now, we think we need to leave it status quo. So I'm asking you to change account number 101-0170, 67080, city street lights, from zero, because we thought we wouldn't pay anything, but we have to put it back at $1,675,000. And as we work on it and we iron through some of those things, I'm hoping we come back to you later on to maybe reduce that amount. Nope, I just want to add that to the list.
Okay.
And call it amendment number 13. So if you don't have any objections to any of these amendments, then you could place it into what you call your general amendments.
Okay, I do have one question from Councilman Kevin Nakhan.
Lori, going back to Amendment 12, the parish is working on getting our parish parks self-sufficient with with the towns and stuff like that. And one of the things in order to get the parish out of the city's Parks and Rec department and stuff, these positions here, how does this affect the parish? In other words, if we wanted to shift those personnel salaries to 100% city, so that when we come back down the road with an ordinance and says the city of Lafayette is 100% responsible and they have their own city Parks and Recreation and they're in charge of everything in the city, we would have to back this out, no?
In this proposed budget, everything in Fund 201 is 100% city. We did not have any allocation between the city and the parish general fund. There's no city-parish allocation of Parks and Recreation in this proposed budget.
But there's one thing we need to clarify. Scott, he's not here. When Parks and Recreation in the parish have rec sports, they're collecting fees. Those fees are being deposited into Fund 201. That's parish money. So some of that money is being used to help pay for salaries and employees within the department. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting at. So
So we are aware that, these changes were done kind of when we were in between directors. We had an interim director, and then the interim director left. So we had a plan that might not have been totally complete in the parish, in the city, as far as the city recreation. So right now, we know that we have revenues in that fund that might have included revenues that were for a tournament occurring in the unincorporated areas, but the department didn't have any of that identified, so we couldn't back that out.
Okay.
So we know that we may have overstated tournament fees, and we know that we're going to have some corrections during the year. We know that we are going to have to come back to the city council as we work through these new changes in the new model
Right.
that we plan on using, that this administration wants to use. So it is a work in progress. It is not, if we proceed with creating a new fund that funds parish activities and everything, that money will not be able to go into this fund. That money will have to go into,
No, I agree with that. I'm just asking if this amendment has any parish money in it, or it's 100% city. Okay, I'm done. Next. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I don't see any other questions about housekeeping. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Lori?
oh, that was enough.
That was enough.
I'll make a motion to accept.
All right, I have a motion to accept. Second by,
So we're
A.B.
just
Rubin?
gonna, we don't need
yeah,
a
I was
second.
going to say we don't need a second, but
We'll just list it as a general amendment if
Yeah.
there's no objection.
Can I, Kearney has brought something to my attention, that amendment number 12 for the Parks and Recreation Department, you might want to pull that out and make it a separate amendment, because you have several amendments for recreation on the table, and this might need to get pulled based on some other action you take.
all right, then I'll go make a motion. I'm going to pull that one. I'll pull that. Which number is that?
That is
The 12.
number 12.
Okay.
So the general amendment is for items 1 through 11, and new item number 13, eliminating item number 12, which will come up throughout the wrap-up discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now moving on to general amendments. Next, we're going to discuss the general amendments. Council members, that's your first column on, if you want to look in this sheet right here, gentlemen, ladies, lady. That's the one we're going to be referring to. These were all general amendments that were not, there were no objections to. Do I have any objections? Seeing none, and I don't see any comments. I don't need a motion, correct, Veronica? No, we can just move forward? All right, moving on to separate amendments. That's, council members, the middle column, separate amendments. And then, let's see. And then I'm just going down the line on these, correct, Veronica? On separate amendments?
On the separate amendments, if there are no, if there's no one that want to pull their objection, then we leave everything as is. Is there anyone who want to pull their
I
objection?
see Councilwoman Cook has asked for the floor.
Oh, well, I'm actually still waiting on verification. So what is it, if you don't want to pull, basically if no one's pulling, it's gone,
It just stays as a separate amendment, and what that means is at final adoption on September 17th, each separate amendment will be voted on individually. The general amendments will all be voted on like in global, like intro items. So we will take 1 through, say, 38, and say we'll take them in global, and there'll be one vote for general amendments, given there were no objections to the general amendments. The separate amendments, given there was objection, will be taken one at a time and voted on and debated or discussed one at a time. September 17th, nothing today, though.
Okay, I do have a change that I would like to make on one of my separate amendments. There was an objection, though, but I wanted to amend that.
Do you want to pull your objection? Carlson, do you want to pull your objection?
She could do it right now. If you have any cleanup, today is the cleanup. Okay.
Yeah, but there's another, actually, it's separate amendments, line 5. This one
Line
has,
number 5, that's the first one on the second page.
this one has to do with the,
To take $100,000
Arts
from the
Center.
general fund to cover one full-time maintenance foreman position and put the remaining funds in a temporary employees line item for Hyman Performing Arts Center. Carlson objected.
So I'll pull my objection.
Oh, you'll pull your objection?
All right.
but I wanted to add more money.
So wait, hold on.
Hold that, just 1 second.
Nope, too late, you already pulled your
We
objection.
already got him, he's pulled his objection,
No
too late.
takesy
Too
backsies.
late. No, I wanted to add another 130,000 to that. And the numbers, the temporary employees on page 217 of the budget book, I wanted to add it for those reasons, the temporary employees, special events, and the reason I wanted to have that extra in place was because there are contracts already being signed for the Hyman Performing Arts Center. And so these are positions that are very necessary to have those functions actually staffed and working. And we're actually also looking at something with Adam as far as civil service, some changes in the way employees, civil service employees can be either maybe furloughed. So we're looking at that. So I wanted to have that money in place. It may not, we're not moving forward because nothing's happening at the Hyman Center right now. But I wanted to have it in place so that when it does happen, those employees will be there and can jump in. Because what happens if we lay them off, they tend to find another job or disappear, and they are the experienced people that know how to run those facilities. And so if by just furloughing them and we can pull them back immediately up when needed, to me, everything runs a whole lot smoother. So that was the additional 130,000 that was needed to cover those particular, all the things on page 217.
I'll withdraw my objection.
Okay.
Okay.
Objection, but you got to do another general amendment to add, no?
Since he removed his objection, that will now, unless there is other objection, that will now become a general amendment.
Yeah, I mean, that,
State your budget amendment.
Okay.
So we are changing the budget amendment. It will now read, Cook,
amend it now.
take $230,000 from the city general fund to cover one full-time maintenance foreman position and put the remaining funds in the temporary employee line item for Hyman Performing Arts Center.
In the amount of 130?
Actually, yes, a couple of line items, temporary employee special events, temporary employment box office, overtime, all those 4 things that are listed right under personnel salaries on page 217.
So
Can
we can
we-
put it in temporary employees, and then we can move it up as they need it?
Okay, perfect.
What's the dollar amount you said? It's 230?
230,000 total.
total 230.
230,
So an
and
additional 130.
correct.
So if you look at the general amendments, you have 45, no, how many you have now is, I'm sorry. You have 22, you have 22 listed, you have number 23, and that's the housekeeping, and 24 is this one, because the objection was pulled from the separate amendment, so it's now a general amendment.
Okay,
So that's new general amendment, number 24.
okay. And then, Councilwoman Cook, are you done?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Carlson. Did you still need the floor? You're good? Did you want to offer yours? Yours is number 3. Okay. Mr. Nakhan, Andy Nakhan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairwoman Abear. On separate amendment 3, the Parks and Recreation of $3.5 million, I'd like to adjust that amount to $375,000. And if that's okay with no objection, I'd like to run that through as a general amendment.
Well, and it was offered by Lazard, so he would have to concur with that. Now, he can make a new general amendment to put that into the list of general amendments.
And then we'd have to vote this down then? on the
No,
separate
if everybody's good with your general amendment, at least that one would be identified as a general amendment.
Well, I would offer that because there's so many amendments with recreation, including one that restores everything 100%, that if you make it, that it should be a separate amendment.
Okay, or what if we were to take this amendment as we voted through it, and at the time we voted on it, amended to, we still would have to have Mr. Lazard adjust it?
Yeah, I think that this is Mr. Lazard's amendment to
Yes.
add 3.5 million. So unless he said, okay, yeah, let's change that 3.5 to 370,000, I think you need to leave this.
All right.
You can add your own separate amendment, a new one that does just exactly this, but changes, instead of 3.5 million, is 370,000.
Okay.
And that's perfectly valid. And what'll happen is that if this passes, then the other ones won't.
Okay, that's, then I'd like to go ahead and add a separate amendment.
Okay. So that becomes new separate amendment number 9.
Yes, ma'am.
So the separate amendment, should it read exactly like Mr. Lazard's, except be
375,000 instead, correct.
Okay, so his separate amendment is going to be to amend the Parks and Recreation budget by increasing it by 375,000 from the city general fund.
Correct.
Did you want to designate an area that was going to in particular?
Salaries,
Full-time.
full-time salaries,
Full-time salaries?
right.
Is there a specific area, or you just
So-
want to put it there?
Recreation centers.
Recreation centers,
Right.
okay. So we'll work that up, we need to make sure it looks like what he wants it to look like, and we'll have it in in better form for you for final.
Thank you, Ms. Toops.
And should Mr. Lazar be okay with the 375, when we come back for final, we'll just pull his item number 3 and withdraw it.
Okay,
Sure.
So,
thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Councilman Rubin, you have the floor.
Okay, I just was wondering about the amendment. I know that's city funds, okay, but it affects people in my district as well. So I was just wondering, was there any conversation with Mr. Lazard on this particular amendment?
No, because he's currently in treatment. Haven't wanted to bother him. He and I have been, but we have been playing phone tag through this process. And I did speak with you earlier about this, I don't think that the council, from the impressions that I'm getting, supports the 3.5 full million. Because if we're looking at all of the other departments like Science Museum and Hyman Center that also got massive layoffs and cuts, and this is the department that's saying we want to rehire all 37 employees, and I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I don't think it's fair to hire back all 37 of them, but then we have other employees, not just in Science and Hyman, but in LCG that have been laid off as well. So what my approach has been, and Councilwoman Cook in working with the Hyman Center has been, is working with the departments to say, what bare bones do you need in order to operate? Skeleton crew through this pandemic as we get through this. And so that's what we have done. So we did not think it would be fair to allow parks just to rehire everyone back when past interim director and current interim director, CAO, have said that they don't think that they want to hire back everyone. So we are saying, Olive Branch, rather than the 3.5 million, we want to give you around the same amount of money that we are offering for bare bones, bring back skeleton crew to keep these parks in operating order. So,
Okay, so you were saying that if Mr. Lazar, Ms. V, excuse me, if Mr. Lazar is okay with this, it'll go, but if he's not okay, then they have to go back to the 3.5 that he initially.
Correct. And it
initially
would
put.
be voted on individually.
Yeah, they're gonna, okay.
So does he have to
Can-
object
if-
to make it a separate?
it's already still separate.
It's already separate.
To make Andy's a separate
It's
one?
already separate.
It's remaining separate.
Okay. I'm not saying I'm objecting to that. I'm just saying, I didn't understand.
It's just a separate amendment at the request of finance to make everything cleaner.
I was just saying if Lazard was not here and he wanted to object to what Andy was trying to do, what would?
He would just object, and both of them, y'all would have to vote them individually, up or down.
So let me clarify, Mr. Rubin. Since Mr. Lazard is not here, no one else could take his separate amendment off.
away, right.
Away. So
Okay,
his
I'm
separate
good.
amendment stays.
I'm good.
He just added a different one.
Okay, I'm good. I'm good then.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilwoman Cook, you have the floor.
Okay, let's see. All right, sorry, I flipped through. We're still making changes to separate
Separate
amendments?
amendments, yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
let's try and maybe get back on track and go line by line. That way, because we have a lot of news, so let's just get refocused. So we are, Councilwoman Cook, if you want to start.
You want me to wait, because mine's on the second page?
Would you access anything on number 4?
Do you have anything on number 4, since that one was yours anyway?
No.
Okay, all right. Second page, guys.
Cook is
The very
number
top.
6.
Okay.
On number 6.
6, okay, yes. I guess we are back to the create funds, and I'm just curious I know if legal is here to give us an opinion on that money. I don't see legal here.
Yeah, Greg is
In the back,
there.
okay. But I'd like to think we can work together on this.
Where is he? Is
Yeah,
he?
yeah, I'd like to, yeah. Can you give us an update on the,
Okay. Well, why don't you,
Okay.
well,
I'll
I know
hold
you've had
on.
conversations. You want to just go ahead and offer what you're going to offer?
okay.
Yeah, while we wait for him. Oh, there he is.
Hi,
Identify yourself, please.
Gregory Logan, City Parish Attorney.
Okay, we're back to the create money. Is it,
Okay.
if they're nice enough to give it to us, can they?
Yes,
Okay, that was easy.
It was-
Okay. So there's no,
it,
to be used at the Science Museum? I mean,
oh, I thought you meant for Parks and Rec. For the Science Museum, I'm not sure. I'd have to dig into that.
well, what would be the difference
I
between?
just got the memo from Assistant City Attorneys, Mike Abear and Paul Escott. Like, I don't know if y'all realize y'all have it within the last hour and a
Yes.
half. So I haven't dug into it. I'm sorry, I would have had one of them here.
So, okay, so this money's used for recreation and arts and culture. So the Parks and Rec, recreation, but arts and culture would be the Science Museum. So I'm not sure
That sounds logical to me.
that it would probably work. Okay,
Sounds logical to me, but I'll go call one of them.
okay, but I'm seeing a yes.
A
So-
yes, you're
Okay.
hearing a yes, too.
I'm seeing
see
it,
that?
I'm
I'm
hearing
seeing
it,
a
I'm
yes.
smelling it, I want it.
Okay,
So
Okay,
if,
the question at hand is, can it be used to do something we're already doing, just to maintain something we already have? And that's, I don't know that we,
he did answer that after the meeting started. He
okay,
did send me a short little blurb saying yes.
so it can be.
it can be
Yes.
used to maintain current activities.
Yes.
So I think your separate amendment is good. We need to make sure we have that in writing. Let's say we get the opposite back in writing. I still think you can proceed with this.
Okay.
And should we get a legal opinion that's contrary, we'll just have to come back with another budget amendment later.
Okay, but I like his.
I haven't seen it yet, but if that's what it says, then we're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, we did get the legal opinion,
Yeah,
right?
and then Mike Abear just sent another little blurb directly addressing Laurie's question, but he just sent it to me. I don't think he sent it to everybody, and it was kind of just a quick clarification based on
thank
the
you.
language in the ballot.
Okay. Okay, well, with that information, I was asking for 800, I was asking for the whole amount, but I'm going to back off of that a little bit, but I'd like to go ahead and ask for 300 of the 800. So if we can change that number from the 8,
Yeah, and actually, the objector was a city council, not a
I was
parish
thinking,
council.
yeah, that's right,
In our own backyard.
yes. So if I can get to remove that objection,
So since she's amended it, Andy, do you want to keep your objection to it?
If you amend it to 300,
Yeah, 300,000, she's amended it.
I'll be okay with that.
Okay, so there's no objection.
okay, thank you.
All right, are you done, Councilwoman?
And that's all you're going to give me, just 300? Okay, just thought I'd check one more time. Okay, that's good, I'm good.
Still a lot of zeros.
So
So,
she,
hold on, everybody, time out. Councilman Nakhan, you have the floor.
I'm happy to give the 300, but, you know, y'all trying to be conservative, but you want to spend all my 8. So be careful when you say things like that. No, listen, it is parish money. There's no doubt it's parish money. It's normally the parish council to appropriate money and move those. But under the circumstances, I believe in arts, I believe in culture, the Science Museum, we all do on this council, thinks it's very important that we do what we can to keep it afloat, but at the same time to let those organizations know that they're going to have to start being creative and figure out how they can raise money or keep it going in that sense, because I don't want to keep going to the well with Create, because if the voters do not want to split a portion of Create to fire protection, then we may need that Create fund for other things as well. So we're in support of it, no objection, move forward.
Great.
But it is parish money, and we're happy to help you. But you can't take it all.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Every inch of the city's in the parish.
That's it, he said it was parish money. How many times? Is anybody counting?
All right,
Laura-
Councilwoman Cook, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just have a question. So, okay, if we do the 300 in there, do I have to designate what that's for? Are you
That
gonna
was my
co-
next question, is
Figured.
what is the 300 for?
Well, again, staffing, is what we're looking for. And I know that we're not doing utility cost.
Right, so,
You're gonna need
Councilwoman
some
Cook, if I
O&M?
may?
Yes, you
If
can.
I may, so what was discussed is with myself and the mayor, we had a conversation about this, is that we agreed with Hollis and with the department head, what they would need in order to get through this pandemic. Their skeleton crew, it'd be 2 curators, it would be a development director, because the reason they need this development director is in order to start fundraising funds in partnership with their foundation and their boards and commission. So, and then addition to utilities, which we raised to the actuals of last year, and their director positions that we discussed. So am I correct, Mayor? Oh, hold on. And I think you were already trying to buzz in anyway. Let me just give you the floor. Hold on, there you go.
No, thank you. And so that is correct. My understanding that with this 300,000 being used with Create, that would lower the need, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that would lower the need to dip into the city general fund for those fundings. So thank you to the parish council for being team players. And you're right, every single inch of the city is in the parish. I love that quote.
It
I
was
heard
your
before.
quote.
Oh, there you go. No, but so, yeah, we're on the
Yeah.
same page. I think it's great. It's good for Lafayette, good for our parish, good for our city. So thank you, guys.
Could you go over the positions again? And
Sure, absolutely.
Is this the person that we talked about adding?
I was gonna
The person that's shared between the Science Museum and somebody else that's going to help us get grant money and?
No, so again, the mayor and I spoke about this, is what we discussed is this person, again, things can change, right? Ever fluid changing. But what we discussed, the intention would be, this person would be exclusively with the Science Museum. Because in addition to, raising their rates and doing other fundraising projects, renting out that gift shop and using that renting their upstairs, there's other things they're doing. The Hyman Center right now has things that, bigger dollar pictures that they can find funding from, like raising the rental rates, doing their own inside catering, things like that, that are bigger dollar than what they need
Okay, so
for
two
fundraising.
curators, and the third person was what?
So 2 curators and a development director position.
Do we have a development director
No,
position
we don't. That would be a
currently?
new position.
Okay,
Yes,
so this
ma'am.
would be a new civil service position?
Yes, ma'am.
Or a-
No, actually, it would
Actually, no,
not
I'm
be
speaking
civil
out of turn. I
service.
don't know.
No, that's okay.
And is
So
it
counts-
contract employee?
Yes,
Okay, that was, yeah, we're going back to that position then.
correct.
Because we
It-
put a position, a contractual position in for
Contractual,
60,000.
non-civil service contractual, because the intent was, correct me if I'm wrong, this is, we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
1 year, because we take one budget
year at a
year at a
time,
time. And so the intent would be to, this person would help these organizations be self-sustaining. We can reevaluate, and we don't have to wait till budget. We can reevaluate 3 to 6 months to see where we're at, adjust, whatnot, up or down. So, yes, now, Madam Chair mentioned something, though. One, maybe this person's focusing on the Science Museum. Is that the intent of the councils as opposed to the Science Museum and the Hyman? Or do y'all want to?
Kind of like them, I mean,
I will defer, on that,
Okay.
I defer to the councils. I can make it work. This, from the administrative standpoint, I can make it work with whatever your guidance is or whatever your intent is. If you want this person to focus on, or give me that flexibility maybe, they can focus on both with the understanding that one is more self-sufficient than the other, so we focus that efforts.
Sure.
definitely. I think they
fine with
both
that.
need,
I'm fine with that.
so, yeah.
Good.
Okay, so I think I've got it. We've
Oh,
got two curators.
Yes.
A civil service position, full-time curators, and then the balance of the funds will go to contractual services. From there, you could use it for that person that you're talking about. If you need to move it to some O&M or something.
Sure.
You can't move salaries, but you can move that contractual services.
Hollis, you were waving at us back there. So you want to introduce yourself, please?
Hollis Conway, Director,
Don't-
Community
Don't out-talk your way out of money. They just gave you money.
Yeah.
I was just going
He's
to
like,
say
no, that's too much. You're
item
too
number
kind.
22 covers the
Exactly.
two positions.
Yes.
So
If you
that's
look
already
at
covered in
general
item number
amendment,
22.
Oh,
Already covers that.
yeah, general amendment number 22, that's what I was waiting to say too. Isn't that the same position?
Yes.
So we need to do something, or,
It should be 240,000 from Create.
Nope.
Wait,
No, we'll take
Stop.
the 300.
240 from Create, put it up to the 60 for the,
you might need it for something.
Hyman Center, ACA, Cajun Dome. So, okay.
so we're going to leave this, number 22.
Well, it could be within this same 300,000, so I guess,
We could eliminate it. We could
I
eliminate
guess
it
we
then.
could eliminate that if, yeah, before y'all take it away, yeah. Okay, should we roll that all into the 300 then? So we'll take that
Okay,
amendment
so-
away, because it's saying the same thing.
Well, you want to take half that amendment away.
Okay. it's
Because
the-
item number 22 is 30,000 for the Science Museum, for the grant-type person, and 30,000 for the Hyman Center. So you just want to take the half of that away. You want to leave the Hyman Center and take away the part for the Science Museum, because you just gave the Science Museum here. Is that correct?
Well, I was thinking that the 60, since the mayor said it's going to be a shared position, maybe it would be under the Science Museum's budget, with that coming from that 300,000, but it would be a position that would be shared, or?
Correct me if I'm wrong. It would be contractual services in the Department of Community Development. So whether we use it Science Museum or Hyman, we can fulfill the
It could
intent of
go
the councils
both.
that way. So the answer is yes,
Okay,
but under contractual service, under that department.
okay.
Well,
So do we take it,
Oh, my
No.
CFO has corrected me.
so no, because
And we have contractual
How about
services in each
the Hyman
department.
Center has a designated
Contractual service.
a designated
Okay.
fund.
I got you.
It has its own fund and revenue sources, and that's for the Hyman Center. And the Science Museum has its own fund. So rather than use general funds, even though you may end up funding it from the general fund, it's better to account for those expenses, so you know how much does it cost to run the Hyman Center, how much does it cost to run the Science Museum, and
Okay.
you don't need to go dig in those accounts
I mean,
elsewhere, so.
we're talking one person, but you can pull from both budgets, okay.
Yeah, especially if it's contractual, if they spend 5 hours working on the Hyman Center, charge it to the Hyman. If
There you
they
go.
spend 5 hours working on the Science Museum, that's easily
That's right.
Okay. All right, so we're still doing the 300,000, but are y'all changing your mind?
You saying the finagle word that crosses?
All right, well, hold on. So Councilwoman Cook, did you, all
I don't want to change anything. I want to move on. I'm good.
right, buzz out. You don't have any to take.
Mr. Logan, well, obviously, we do. If that's the case, we can pull the 300,000 back to create.
Nice, be nice, yeah.
I mean, Mr. Logan, can we even use create money for a development director position for salaries?
Look, Mike Abear and Paul wrote the charter, and that's why I'm relying on them for this
Okay.
division. And I've kind of compartmentalized things. I apologize. I'm focused on other stuff. Yeah. We'll get you a written legal opinion based on each item before the,
Okay. That's fair.
I cannot think of a more specialized reason to fund a development director position who is out there expressly, that person's job, he or she is to promote the culture, not recreation, but arts and culture, and the C, and you know what I mean? So I cannot think of more of a person better suited to receive that funding than a development director.
So I have been the one to ask the most questions about what can we use create money for?
Yeah.
This sounds, I don't have I would not ask for an opinion on that because it's new and it's promoting it's.
It's new.
I can.
It's promoting
Yeah,
arts and,
So,
Got it all.
what
I
else you
can,
need?
I can weigh
You
in.
want to do recreation as well? I mean, what else do you need?
So I can weigh in. I do believe that it would satisfy the intent of CREATE based on my understanding of the intent that the voters voted on. And I also just want to clarify, if anybody's watching, correct me if I'm wrong, this is using fund balance. So it's money's already generated, already corrected.
yes, sir.
Yeah, and that's important because our voters will also be voting on this millage in November. So that if, just to remove any, I want voters to have as much information as possible. So this money is already collected. It's going to be used for this next budget year. So the vote is irrelevant to this decision. I again, want all our voters and constituents to have all the knowledge out there. I want the councils to have all information. The position of the administration is that this would satisfy the intent, based on our understanding, it would satisfy the intent of CREATE. Legal can come up with a contrary opinion, and I'll follow legal's advice. But as of this moment, it is within that intent, and I don't think I don't anticipate, based on what I have read, that it would be to the contrary. That's why I'm comfortable saying it.
Thank you, sir. And I see Mr. Knockin has the floor. Kevin Knockin, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm not saying that the director's not needed. And someone to promote it. I'm not saying that at all. I guess originally when we spoke, I was understanding it was important to keep it open in the operations. So I was assuming the 300,000 was more for that. I'm not saying that the person's not needed.
I know what you're saying.
But we got to be careful, because if there's another position somewhere else, and the mayor president says we need to hire a director, and I'm gonna take it out of CREATE, and all of a sudden I'm gonna start taking CREATE money, I'm starting paying directors. That's not the intent, in my opinion, to fund directors through CREATE. My opinion is it should be operation and maintenance to support the Hyman Center, support the arts, and allow them to operate and function. But be careful with using that money from the parish to start funding salaries.
Sure. No, I get that. But this particular position is going to help keep those doors open because we want them to become more self-sufficient. That person's going to.
As long as that person that is going to be in that position is doing that job and it's keeping it open and it's
Yeah.
operating, that's
Yep.
fine. But
That's the goal.
I don't want to pay a person $60,000 that a year later, you're back in the same boat. So I just gave away $60,000.
Well, none of us have a crystal ball, and we don't know. This person could be a rock star.
Right, well, as long as it comes back a year later,
Sure.
we can adjust that. All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm
Thank
done.
you. Mayor, you have the floor.
Yes, Madam Chair. And again, just to clarify, I wouldn't wait a year to reevaluate. I think
Oh,
we
no.
should look at this continuously, 3 to 6 months, quarterly, just to see where we're at. But also, just a point of clarification, we're using the word director, but we're using it very loosely. It is contractual services to satisfy what I'm hearing is the intent behind the millage that was passed by the voters. That's my understanding. But I just want a point of clarification.
Nope, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Anyone else have anything they want to add? I'm not seeing it. All right, Nanette, we were on page 2.
What about number 7?
Number 7.
Okay, so number 6, so Nanette, she amended it to 300,000. Andy Nakam removed his objection. Now, what are your thoughts on, so we'll go to a general amendment. Can we combine, Lori, that one with number 22, since it's all interchangeable, or should we make a new general
No,
amendment?
I would definitely make a new one.
Okay, so it would be new general amendment number 25.
Okay. And then I'm going down the line, I'm seeing number 7, that's Lazard. Carlson, are you wanting to remove your objection, or you're leaving it? Okay. Number 8, we have 2, but they're both not here, so they can't answer that. That is all of our separate amendments, so we're done there. I'm moving on to wrap-up items.
And
That's
on
the
number 8, I had communicated with Lewis and Lazard on number 8, and I think they said Robert Benoit had resolved this issue.
Robert,
Robert Benoit?
number 8.
Number 8 on the 2 inspectors. Yes.
You want to come on up?
That's
Both
all they
mics?
told me is that Robert, so I don't know if we need to do something with this one.
Yes, I forwarded, Robert
introduce
Demott,
yourself.
Chief of
Thank
Staff, Lafayette Consolidated Government. I forwarded an email to Councilmember Lazard and Lewis, who had a question about this, and told them after discussions with the mayor president, we have decided to leave these two
To leave it
positions
in,
budget.
okay.
And I didn't hear a response, so I assume they're fine.
So we are now leaving them in, but so does that
So
mean?
they're already in the budget, right?
Yes.
They're already in the budget, so I guess we could eliminate this separate amendment, right, Lori?
Well, no, the amendment was to eliminate 2 positions.
Oh, yeah, so, okay.
So,
We had originally proposed in the budget to eliminate them.
Yes.
There was an objection to that.
Yes.
I had a discussion with the mayor. Due to the concerns from Councilmember Lazard and Lewis, we decided to leave them in, so I guess the amendment might be necessary.
So what amendment are we talking about?
we're
Number
talking
8.
about separate amendment number 8. It's the amendment to eliminate 2 vacant environmental services inspectors as per amendment provided by finance.
Okay. So, and we want to leave the 2 inspectors in, so now we just want to remove separate
Okay,
amendment
that's, I say
8.
eliminate number 8.
Well, no,
They're in the budget, but they're
Okay.
just vacant. We want to leave them in the budget.
got it, okay. Anything else, Mr. Benoit? You're good?
Lazard them are not there to remove they're not here to remove.
So Andy, do you want to remove the separate amendment? If they don't want to eliminate it anymore, if the mayor?
I'm kidding.
Yeah, okay, so that's been removed. All right, so I'm done with, I believe I'm done with separate amendments. Second column, yes, ma'am?
We're done with separate amendments, but we didn't clarify on the general amendments on number 22.
Okay.
Since we have the Science Museum taken care of, I think that the intent would be to amend 22 to just say 30,000 for the Hyman Center instead of 30 for the Hyman and 30 for the science, because science is taken care of.
So, yeah, what she said, that's what we want.
So we want to change this amendment. It would say, to increase contractual services line item in the Community Development Department under the Hyman Performing Arts Center in the amount of $30,000 coming from the city general fund to provide for fundraising marketing position.
And Madam Chair, as it relates to that one, we do have 2 speakers to speak on, in reference to that specific item, the Lafayette Science Museum and the Hyman Performing Arts.
Yes, but so that one only covers the development director marketing position, correct? That does not include the curators that we spoke about, Lori?
Curators are in the new
That's
one
in the
we
other one,
added.
okay. Just want to make sure, that's all. Okay, thank you. We
You
can go
ready?
to speakers on those.
First speaker, Dave Hostetter. And he wants to speak on the Science Museum.
And either podium is open, sir, and clean. Thank you. And who's our next speaker, V?
Oh, Jackie Lau, you could come up to the other
Okay.
speaker. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave Hostetter. I'm the retired planetarium curator at the Lafayette Science Museum. And after 40 years of working at the museum, I'm sure you can understand I'm pretty attached to the place. Haven't been real happy about some of the things I've been hearing, although today you've given me some hope and a little bit less despair, and I appreciate that. I know that some of you have gone to the museum in the past to see exhibits and planetarium programs, and I thank you for that. But I want you to remember that the museum is a 50-year investment by the people of Lafayette City and Parish. But during the budget discussions, none of you have actually come to the Plain Museum to see what the place is like. I'm talking about a behind-the-scenes tour to see the equipment and procedures that are used to get the exhibits and planetarium programs and activities ready to go. This is not some hokey little local museum. It was a professionally run institution, one of the better museums in the state. I often heard people from other places remark on how amazing it was that a city the size of Lafayette had a facility like this. In my opinion, part of your due diligence that you owe your constituents would be to come to the museum and see what's there. You cannot possibly figure out what type of staffing is really needed if you don't know what jobs are needed to be done. And I know time is short, but if any of you or any of the administration would like to come to the museum to get a behind-the-scenes tour of what's there and find out what needs to be done, I would be glad to take you through the building. I worked at the museum for 40 years. I worked in that building for 18 years. I know the place pretty well, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. I retired unexpectedly, so my September is pretty open, and I can probably do it on whatever time is convenient for you. Just give Kevin Krantz, our museum director, a call, set up a time. I will be glad to come in and do everything I can to help you understand. The only thing I would ask is that you wear face masks and we do social distancing. So thank you, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Final speaker, Jackie Lau.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Jackie Lyle. I am a resident of District 6 on the city council side. I want to speak with you just about the Hyman Center and the expectations of a development director for both the Science Museum and for the Hyman Center. I urge you to curb your enthusiasm. That does not mean it's not a good investment. I have raised millions of dollars in this community, and I can tell you, you're not going to see productivity in 3 months unless you already have somebody waiting in the wings. It's not how it happens. You may see $1,000 or $5,000, but you're not going to see 6 figures, 5 figures. That's not happening. At $60,000, that's a respectable part-time contractual amount of money for a true professional with a track record. So the other thing that person is going to need an allocation for marketing, because the person's going to need some marketing materials. And unless you have those in place, you'll have fundraising materials that look like the ones I can produce without a marketing expert. In talking this week to the sales manager at the DoubleTree, I was reminded about the economic development activity that comes out of the Hyman Center specifically. When we brought the Apollo Theater in to put together their James Brown project before its world premiere in New York City, we housed 35 people for 9 nights in one hotel. Everybody had their own room, no doubles. So we're talking about a serious impact, one instance, one event. The other thing that I would like to offer, if anybody's interested, is walk you through what a day looks like at the Hyman Center. Most people consider an average workday 8 hours. But when we book the Hyman Center, our contract allows us in from 8 a.m. until 2 a.m. That is a bit more than an 8-hour day. So that is why it's so important to have the temporary help and overtime in the budget, if anyone is questioning what that's for. If all goes well, on April 3rd, we will have a performance called Stunt Dogs. It is what it is, Stunt Dogs. We will have 2 shows. We will need multiple people in the box office on that day in particular. The last thing I would like to suggest to you, my ears kind of perk up when I hear raise the rental rate for the Hyman Center, because if you raise the rate for the Hyman Center, you have to remember how many expenses have been added into what a show is actually charged for the day. We have our own lighting director for everything, but yet there's a $750 lighting director fee. So if anybody is of interest to look through what the Hyman Center charges for and give some consideration to how a settlement will look with new charges or with increased fees. And I will also tell you, I know people complain about the cost of using the Hyman Center. It is expensive. But I also know what it costs to use other venues outside of Lafayette. So those 2 things especially, keeping in mind the economic impact and curbing your expectations of this position, which I do support entirely, but a 3-month test and a 6-month test may not have the success that you need. So it's important to put together a vision for what this person is going to do, how it relates to the mission statement, some strategies that all can agree on so that there is a system of checks and balances with this person, and there's a fair means of evaluating the person, both from the administrative side and from the side of the person who's hired to come in. So that's how we hire people. I know everybody will agree with that. Finally, I want to remind you of this. The Lafayette Science Museum is...
That was time.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. It is really about the obsolescence of the Hyman Center.
Thank you. Because I know there was a lot of back and forth, Lori, I want to make sure that I have everything in my head that I was hoping to accomplish for Science Museum and Hyman Center. Can we review that one more time, please?
Absolutely.
Because I know there was a lot of back and forth. Let's start with the Science Museum.
So with the Science Museum, as I understand it, the $300,000 of Create fund balance is going to be transferred to the Science Museum. It will be used to fund 2 curator, full-time civil service curator salaries and benefits. And then the remaining monies that's left from that, whether it be $60,000 or $160,000, will go to contractual services. And from there, you can use it for this contractual services, grant writer, creative director, however you want to title that person. And any O&M money that maybe is a result of adding these people back or whatever, we can take it from contractual services and move it as necessary. And of course, as always, those things will be reported back to you, so you'll see those moves. But so $300,000 from the Create money is going to support these services at the Science Museum.
So, but then in what we already had approved and administration gave to us in budget also included that utilities.
Yeah. we
And
didn't
then
touch
there
any
was
of
a
that.
director's position in there as well, correct? In the original budget proposed to us, am I not?
No, that was that grant writer support director person in number 22?
No, in the original budget y'all proposed to us, under Science Museum, was there not a director position in there? Oh, Hollis, yes, come on back.
Hollis Conway, Director of Community Development. The proposal we had, the director's position was already in there, so we just needed to add the utilities back in there.
Yes,
So
so
that
there
position
there
was
was a
already in
director's
there.
position in your budget, yes, that's, all right, so stay there, because I'm probably going to, so that is the Science Museum. Going on to Hyman Center. What was, because I want to make sure, because I know we're handing out contracts to Mardi Gras balls, I know we're trying to book events at the Hyman Center, and I want us to be prepared if and when they start having these events. So remind me again, so I don't have to go, what is budgeted for the Hyman Center as far as staffing? And I know we have utilities, obviously, but remind me again, well, hopefully, I say that, but I don't know in this budget. So Hollis, tell
I'm
me
having
what's,
to defer to Lori because we have 4 people on staff right now.
I don't
Brian,
think any of them
Dennis.
have the title of director because that's you.
correct.
Direct, what do you mean? I'm sorry. Are you asking what is the current staffing position at the Hyman?
Yes, that are budgeted for this year.
Right.
Hollis, remove you.
Oh, okay. I didn't bring that information with me. I know we have Brian McGrath, we have Dennis Scarrett, and we have, I think, 2 other people, and we're working on a ticketing coordinator. We still don't have that worked out. And so what we were asking is that we know we need temporary
Contractual staffing,
contractual
right?
staffing. It's going to be huge because
So-
right now we're passing that cost on to the.
Right, so that was one thing that, but what was that dollar amount that it's my understanding I need to add that. So what is that, was that dollar amount, we discussed 300,000?
Yeah, let me find that out for you.
Well, and didn't Nanette just add, there's a general amendment that Nanette just added, the 230,000, and that's for one foreman position and some
Oh, yeah,
temporary
there it is.
employees.
I'm sorry, it was
Okay, so
230.
that has been added. I wanted to make sure.
That's what it is. It was 100,000, then she added 130. That's what it was.
I just wanted to make sure that we had that, because there's been a lot of numbers flying around between those two. I want to
Right.
make sure
It was
we
a
have
maintenance
everything.
foreman, was the first one for the 100,000, then we added 130,000.
Hey, guys, if y'all are going to talk, can y'all back away? Because all I hear is, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, we originally had the 100,000 for the maintenance foreman, we had 130 for the temporary employees.
Right, but that will stop us from having to outsource and increase the people's fees by 61%, correct?
Yes, because there may be, we still hadn't looked at maybe whatever the additional costs for sanitation and things like that. This will greatly reduce what we have to outsource.
Right, so again, because I've had Mardi Gras balls tell me they're getting bills, because they've had contracts for a year now with you, but they're getting bills increased 61%. And to me, that's just not the right thing to do to people when you've agreed on something, they're repeat customers. You can't come to them 3 months before and say, oh, we're increasing you by 61%. So what
I
we do
agree
years down
completely,
the road.
but just the reason is that we don't have the staff we had before. So we just can't offer the same services.
Right,
But
and that's what I'm trying to do now, is if we
Right.
need to add that line item for contractual services to be prepared if and when these events take place. Just because I'm budgeting it doesn't mean if it doesn't happen, we don't use it. But I want us to be prepared so we're not increasing people's budgets by 61% unexpectedly. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish.
I understand, and your point's valid. There's really not very many pages to this, and I think it might be worthwhile for all of us to take the time right now, go through this list.
Perfect.
To make sure that we have what you want under the general amendments, and make sure we have what you want under the separate amendments.
Okay.
Because there's been so much.
There's been a lot, okay?
Okay, it'll just take us probably 5 minutes.
I tell you what, while they're they need to be a part of this wrap-up. Nanette, did you want to, while we're looking at, let's move forward on to wrap-up while they're looking at that. You're the first one for wrap-up.
Okay, can I ask Holly?
Oh, okay, go ahead. Hold on. You have the floor.
Okay, I'm looking at the proposed budget, and there's 140,000 in there for personnel salaries proposed for this coming year. Those are, explain to me again what those are?
Okay, let me get the exact
So we're not
positions, because we
duplicate-
have Brian McGrath, who's
Okay.
the manager, arts and cultural manager. Dennis Corrett is the Hyman
Okay.
manager.
Okay.
And then we have two other positions, but I don't want to give you the wrong information.
Because yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did that answer your question, Nanette?
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
waiting to
looking at
hear, yeah.
Oh, there we go, thank you. I can't see, where are we?
These three.
The venue administrator, box office coordinator, which is currently not filled, and a production coordinator.
Okay, and so then the amendment that I was putting in was to add another maintenance foreman 2 position and another box office person.
Yes.
Okay, that was for the additional 100,000, and then I guess the additional 130,000 that's being put in
Temporary.
would be more for, again, staffing. I guess we're just looking for staffing, so it'd be more contractual services for staffing. Is that what you're telling me that would be used for, besides the contractual position that we're looking at, we're calling him community director, but basically the fundraiser position, that's all included within that?
Well, that
That's
fundraising
separate.
position,
That
that was
was separate.
That was
That's
totally
30.
separate from all of this.
Okay, that's the additional, that's 30,000
That
in the
was
general
bonus.
amendment. Okay,
That was bonus.
okay, so,
And what we've been able to do, to answer your question, because it exponentially grows, those temporary employees have been able to help with some of the sanitation and do some of those things. They've always done
Yeah.
more
But this is
than
more
what
of like
they're
setup, pickup, maintenance, cleanup.
putting the curtains up, all of
Yeah.
those things.
That's what I'm more concerned about. So that's
Because
what,
when we don't have them, you have to hire different people to do all of those, and the cost exponentially grows.
right, and that's what I'm trying to cover, because
Yes.
you're about to outsource that, and they pay 61% more. So that's what I'm saying, is having these people, either that or we need to stop giving out contracts to people, right?
Right. But,
So-
those contracts were given out before the crisis happened.
Right, so we certainly can't, right, anyone moving forward, you can say, you're paying 61%, just so you know before you sign this contract, but you're giving people contracts, you've given people contracts with the understanding of years of how much this stuff's gonna cost. You can't increase it 61%. You can't do that, that's not right. I mean, you can, it's not the right thing to do. You don't do that to people.
so Lori, is this 130 that's added, that was just added today, that is going to cover?
I'm sorry, I was not following your conversation because I was busy going through the list to see what was on here. So you'll have to start from the beginning.
Okay, well, we're talking Hyman Performing Arts Center.
Okay.
100 was put in for an additional foreman position and another box office
Through
position.
the amendment process?
Yes,
Okay.
it was a separate amendment, that's no longer, no objection, so now it's moving to its general amendment now, number 24. And so, because with the addition of the 130,000 more, I guess I wanted to clarify that was going to be used for just the very things that we're talking about as far as contractual services that could be used in lieu of, hiking the prices on those contracts.
So I don't have a general amendment number 24?
It's a new one. It's one we just did. You told me that was going to be,
Oh, one we moved, okay.
that was, was just added just now.
So it was separate amendment number 5?
Correct.
Okay. So that amendment is $230,000 from the city general fund to cover one full-time maintenance foreman position and put remaining funds in the temporary employees line item for the Hyman Performing Arts Center. And we'll move it amongst the various temporaries as
Right.
needed.
Okay, so that would cover the temporary clerk and the box office person that was in the original 100,000. That would all fall into that same additional 230?
It is $230,000.
Right.
Cover that one full-time position and some temporaries.
Okay.
So whether it accomplishes all the temporaries you need all year long, I can't say. We don't know. But
Yeah.
But the money will be there to
Yeah.
do that, yes. Okay, that's, all right, that helps, thank you.
Okay.
so I've gone through all the amendments. If y'all just want me to go through and summarize them again, so that way you know what is
Well, I think
in there.
I think because I think the most important, not most important, but the ones that we have the most questions about are right now, the Hyman Center and the Science
Oh,
Museum.
yeah, that's all.
Okay,
I
that's
went
all,
through,
okay.
I have Hyman and Science.
Perfect.
Marked, and so I can run through those real quick for you.
Let's do that.
So under the general amendments, number 6 is a general amendment for the Science Museum, and that was to correct utility costs. General amendment number 7 is for the Science Museum, and that is to increase museum curator position from 0 to 1 in community development. So that is adding 1 curator position to the Science Museum.
Do we still need that one in light of new amendment number 25?
Well,
Where they added two curators?
I'll go through all of them, and then we can backtrack and see
I'm
what we
sorry.
do need and don't need.
Okay.
And I hear my staff behind me, so they may end up correcting something
Okay.
that I've said. But I think we should go through them all.
Okay.
Put it all on the table, and then see what we're taking back off.
Okay.
So that was the general amendment, number 7 was the curator. The next amendment for the Science Museum or the Hyman Center was general amendment number 22. We changed that for $30,000 for this grant director type person that will be for the Hyman Center because we moved the science one elsewhere. Now, under the separate amendments, we have what was separate amendment number 5 is now a general amendment, and the amount was changed to $230,000, and this is to fund 1 full-time maintenance foreman, and the rest of the money will go to temporary employees. And then we have another separate amendment. I'm not sure if it was changed to a general or not, but it's under separate amendment number 6. The amount was changed to $300,000, and this is to add 2 curators to the Science Museum, and then the remaining monies will go to contractual services to cover the grant-type coordinator and other O&M. Kearney, did I miss anything?
And you questioned whether or not it was moved to a general amendment? It was.
It was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that is Science Museum only. So going back to.
Science and Hyman. I had a
Science
few in
and
there for
Hyman, okay.
Hyman.
All right.
So I think it might be okay.
Okay.
But just so that way you can rest assured, we will have a summary prepared for you.
Perfect.
So before you vote, you'll see a new summary.
That's perfect. I think that'll be helpful because there's been a lot of, oh, Curry? I can't see who's, oh, hey, Sidra. I don't know what mic to
I
turn
have her
on for
on.
you back there.
I got her.
Hold on.
She can talk. I have her on.
Okay, we're just trying to clarify back here, based on what we've discussed on these amended amendments, are we trying to have 3 curator
curators,
positions?
No, 2.
Okay, well, we need to.
I think we've got 3 as it currently
No,
stands.
the Science Museum specifically told us they only need 2.
You're-
So,
These
number
amendments
7.
that we're discussing currently have
Should only be
3 curator positions in here.
Exactly. So,
General amendment number 7 adds a 3rd curator position. So if we would like to eliminate that, and that's Lazard, but I think he was just trying to put a curator, and you guys done put 2 in.
well,
So
the
as long
intention
as
was
it's
always
not
2.
taking away something.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, the more the merrier, but the director of the department told us he only needed 2.
Yes.
So I might recommend that you amend the new general amendment number 5. No? Well, I guess you have to leave it in then since it's Councilman Lazard's.
it's
Amendment.
Councilman Lazard's amendment. It was made a general amendment. It would not be appropriate for us to take it out, but it would be most appropriate for somebody to say, in light of the new general amendment, they object to this, and it will move from a general to a separate and can go away later.
So objected.
Noted. Move forward as a separate amendment.
And that's number 7, right?
So general amendment number 7 is going forward as a new separate amendment.
Okay. Now, I think we're done with separate amendments. Council members, I don't see anyone has anything they want to add. Okay. Now moving back to wrap-up request. Most of you have already pulled your wrap-ups today. Councilwoman Cook, you have the first wrap-up.
Number 5, the number of vehicles, Lori, and
Hold on. There you go.
yes, I had just requested the number of vehicles that are in each department that have not been moved in over 180 days, and I received that from Lori, so thank you. There's like 44 of them. I guess my question would be, what is the cost of, if we don't need them, what is the cost of keeping them at this point? I mean, they're not being used. I just was curious.
So, by the way, you got that from Melinda, but thanks for giving me the credit.
Thank you, Melinda, sorry.
As I've said before, my teammates make me look good. So Melinda might have a little bit more to say. But we are self-insured.
Right.
So if the vehicle is sitting there not being used, it's a waste of resources because we could sell it, we could trade it in. Somebody else could use it who needs a vehicle. But it's not, we're not physically writing a check to an insurance company every month for a vehicle that sits there. It is a waste of resources, don't get me wrong. I would be pretty sure that not all 40 of those vehicles have actually sat there, because we do find that the fuel cards are not always used properly, and somebody probably has a fuel card that's real handy for them, and they probably are continuing to use either that fuel card or that vehicle number for every vehicle they fill up, and so you get a little bit of misreading from reports like this. But certainly, we are aware that some of that 40 has probably sat there and not been fueled for that length of time. Anything you want to add?
Trade them in, it's easier to do their fleet.
So sometimes departments are a little bit hesitant in trading in a vehicle that they might not be using as much, because usually when they go to request another vehicle, we don't just let them add to their fleet, we make them hand the old one in to get a new one. But, you know, this administration has put the directors on a different level, and so I'm sure that working with this mayor, we can make sure that the directors and the departments are not operating like that anymore, and if the vehicle's not being used and not needed, it should be turned over for somebody where it is needed and is being used, or put up for auction. So that is something we can work on. I'm sure you will have this administration's 100% support.
Okay, yeah, that's where I'm going with this. I mean, you know, if we're not using them, it's a waste of resources, like you're saying, and if we could sell them, it's an income, you know, source in some areas. So I guess I would just like to keep an eye on that if we could, and if they're not being used, that we, you know, take the action that we need. So that's all. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. The next one was Councilman Lazard. He's not here. I don't know if he got his information. I'm assuming he got the information. Okay, so, but maybe, I don't know if he got to look at it, if he wants to pull it. Mayor, you're the next wrap-up on number 10, Mayor President wrap-up request. You wanted IS&T to provide usage numbers for 311. Did you get your information?
Do we have that? Kayla has it. Okay, it is in the packet. All right, good. The data, the usage, okay.
It's in the packet.
It's in the packet. Did you have anything that you want to add? Did you want to pull it?
No, my apologies. No, whatever's in the packet, that's for y'all's consideration. The numbers were, I think, helpful, at least on our end. Yeah.
So you're good? You want to pull? Okay.
Wait.
All right, we pulled that one from wrap-up.
Pull that.
Councilwoman Cook, you have number 18. Did you want to talk about fund number?
Yes,
request to speak. You have the floor.
All right, we have just kind of been in the discussion of looking to rename the funds in the park to
Oh, yes.
City Parks and Rec Department and the Parish Parks and Rec Department, and that was kind of the direction that this wrap-up request of mine was. So I guess what I'd like to do is look at that again, Laurie.
Ye-
Are you
yes,
not paying
ma'am?
attention?
I was paying 100% of attention to my boss.
My fault.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But it was on this topic, so it was good.
Okay, well, Laurie, we had, the discussion was about renaming the funds, and this particular wrap-up item was kind of what we were looking at in being able to do that. I know that, maybe should I defer
Yeah,
first?
defer to Kevin.
Okay, I'm going to defer to Kevin first.
All right, Councilman Kevin Nakhan, you have the floor.
And you can put in that
Okay.
hot as well. This is what I'd like to do. Laurie, I'd like to establish a new parish fund, a line item for parish parks and recreation sites and activities, and would like it to be funded with the internal transfer from the library funds 276.
Okay. The remaining funds, I believe was 200,000 after the budget amendment that was introduced.
After the 1.8, we have 200.
Yes, sir.
I would
So-
like to move that remaining 200 into a new parish line item, a new parish fund for parish parks. Like kind of, the city wants to do city parks and recreation. The parish and I would like to do one where we would be the parish parks and recreation.
Fund.
Fund.
Parish Parks and Recreation Fund, yes, sir.
Okay, so I'd like to offer that as a general amendment. Can you do that?
So we are moving $200,000 from
Fund
the
276.
276, which was the $2 million that came over from the library rededication,
Right?
to a new fund called Parish Parks and Recreation to be used for parish parks and recreation activities outside of the city of Lafayette.
Correct.
Now, with that $200,000, you would like to fund, I would.
I would leave it
a
in there.
position?
Nothing yet, just put it in there, but I'd like for it to be used for operation or maintenance or staff.
Okay, can we put it, I want to be able to cut the grass on November the 1st or turn on the lights on November the 1st. So can we start off with it in contractual services? And then as we need to pay a light bill, we can move the money. If you decide to hire somebody to go cut the grass, I could do that.
Well, what-
If I just
It was
put it
already
in a
dedicated.
fund, if I just put it in a reserve, I can't use it to pay the expenses necessary.
Right, with the 1.8 we just voted on, it's broken down the line item per parks.
Capital stuff.
For capital. Do you want to put that in the new fund, or you want to leave it separate? Because one could be capital for parish parks, and then this other fund should be probably for operating and maintenance contractual services. And the reason I'm saying that is, as we're negotiating with Scott and Doosan and Karen Crow, one of the things was that since the city's not going to use the 200,000 that we had offered them, the remaining balance of 200 that was earmarked, we would like to leave that in that new fund to where part of our deal might be that we're going to pay the utilities to help Doosan them out for maybe a year or two and use those funds for that. Because contractual services, once those parks are going to be to those municipalities, we're not going to be cutting the grass. We're not going to be doing any of that. But until that happens, part of the negotiation tool is that 200,000, we want to go to Karen Crow and say, hey, your utilities are maybe $4,000 for the year. Part of the deal, you taking it over, the parish is going to basically pay the utility, the light bill for a year or two.
Okay, I see where you're going. I think because you already have a budget amendment on the table with that $1.8 million.
Well, we voted on that.
Okay, so
That's gone.
That's gone. You have 200 left, and you
Right.
want to establish a fund for the unincorporated parks.
Operation, maintenance, and contractual services.
Okay, so that's where we're setting up in the new fund for whatever parish parks that may be left and not taken over by a city. When it comes to that other $1.8 million, if you're wanting to use any of that to pay utilities or something other than capital, then we're going to have to go back and amend that budget revision. And we should be able to get all that done pretty timely, so that way it could take effect, if it can't take effect on November the 1st, it'll be pretty darn close to the, shortly after that. So what we need to do is move forward with the 200 that's available now, and then work on amending that budget for the 1.8.
Why would we need to amend the 1.8 though?
Well, the 1.8, if I understood you correctly, you want to be able to use some of that to pay the light bill at Karen Crow or do something?
no,
You just want to do capital?
No. I want the 200 separate. The 1.8 was strictly capital.
Okay,
Now, in the event, this brings up a good point. In the event we cannot strike a deal with SWA, Judy, so to speak, because we really don't have any capital funds, we would have to pay the utilities for Judy's out of that 200.
yes. And you can,
And I can with that, but my point is if Judy's doesn't take it, then they need to know that we might need that 550 that we originally earmarked for capital, that might be your money to keep the park open, and when that zeroes out, but could that be an amendment, budget amendment, if we find out Judy's doesn't want the park? Then can we take their line item of 550 and then transfer it into the fund, the new fund that we want to create for operations and maintenance and contractual services?
absolutely, with the separate budget
That's-
amendment, yes, sir.
Then let's do that.
Okay, so are you going to need, right now, for the first few months, or however many parish
200,000
parks,
in a new parish parks fund?
are you going to need an employee? Because I can't just,
No.
okay, so we can do that
We're
with
going to use
contractual
GOMO,
employees
and
and
the
GOMO.
volunteers will cut the grass.
Okay, so I would say you can put it all in contractual services, or if you want to go ahead and put some in utilities, half in utilities and half in contractual services, we can still move it around as needed for those parish parks.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that 200, I'm not handcuffed and you go, oh, well, I want it for operations, maintenance, and contractual services.
Well-
Utilities as well.
Well, if you put that 200 in there for parish parks, come November the 1st, I'm going to start spending that money when I'm paying light bills for those parish parks, and whatever it is
Well,
that,
you're going to have to until the deal gets done. So I'm okay if November 1st, if we can't get those agreements passed, because part of the agreement is we're going to take care of the utilities for 1 year. So you could pay that. I don't have a problem with you spending that 200 on turning on the lights
okay.
and the utilities. Because after we run through that, then they're picking up the electricity and the water and the utilities.
Yeah, we'll have to, and we can figure this out. What I'm a little bit concerned about is that I'm going to need, usually we have an employee in that department that says, oh yeah, this is the right electric bill, please pay it from these funds. And if we don't have an employee there,
We
checking those bills, but we'll figure it out.
We got computers, smart electricity, energy. I mean, we don't have meter readers anymore, so we're gonna have to trust that. And I'm sure Sidra and I can do a good job of negotiating with energy to find out if those bills are right or not.
There you go.
So I don't want no employees coming out of that. I don't want to hire nobody. I just strictly want it for us to turn the utilities on.
Figure it out.
Got that? Okay, so that's a general amendment. You're gonna create a new line item for the parish, right?
Yes.
V, you got that? You got it. Okay. While I have you, did y'all already do that or no? I'd like to,
Reduce line item.
I want to reduce the line item 1056120-89000. I want to remove that $40,000. And I want to go ahead and stick that also in that new Parks and Rec fund.
Okay.
It's capital.
Is that capital? 40,000 is capital?
It's capital money.
I'm sure you'll need
But
it.
they said you can put it back in the general fund.
Well,
Just put it back in your
if not, I want to move it to the general fund.
parish general fund, yeah.
Okay. We have a general amendment right now, taking that money and moving that money from capital outlay to contractual services in the department that was now being called the city Parks and Rec.
You need to go ahead and take that out then. Y'all not using that money, coming
Whose
back
general
here.
amendment?
Okay, so,
But I thought we couldn't move it if it
well,
was
no,
part.
that's fine.
Okay.
So what you,
Number 5.
now what you want to do, what do you want to do with that 40,000? Do you want to leave it in city
What y'all
general
wanna
fund?
do? No, not going, the city's.
Not going to the
No,
city.
Not going to the city.
Do you want to leave that 40,000?
We gave up 300, we did 40.
No, we don't want your money.
don't want
Take
it.
your,
No,
take
you're
your
doing good.
money.
Leave the 40,000 in the parish general fund, which is where it
the
originated
general fund?
from?
Yeah, let's do general fund, so now we'll go from 40 to, for 1 year, we'll go from 40 to 80.
See, that we
Okay,
doubled your
so-
money.
Okay, so
It's a
what we
joke.
want to do is change General Amendment number 5. General Amendment number 5, we want to change that to where it says move $40,000 from line item 105, 6120, 89000-0, capital outlay. We want to change that amount from 40,000 to 0. And that's it.
And move it to the parish general fund,
It will just, it'll go there by default, yeah.
by default, okay.
Yeah.
Or the city.
And,
would-
and
Change
that
that amount to
40,000 was
zero.
money that y'all had noticed we were contributing or something?
I have no clue. It's Gilba moved it.
Gilbo moved it, okay,
Moved it, yeah.
okay.
All right, is that all?
Can we do
Councilman?
that since Gilbo was the author?
I don't think so.
I don't think we can do that because we didn't do that for the, we didn't do it for those. No. We do a separate
Okay.
amendment.
Add another general amendment?
Yeah.
Add another general amendment.
Say it again.
General amendment that comes after this one, undoing this one. So we would have a general amendment changing account number 105, 6120, 70907, contractual services. We will change that from 40,000 to 0.
Okay. Councilman Nakane, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I want to make sure she did it right.
Yep. Kearney said it's good.
All right, I know y'all win those awards, so I want that budget to be clean now, you know what I'm saying?
She wants that award. Do you have anything else?
Okay, no, that's the only 2 things. We good, parish guys? We good, all right.
So Kearney, that's new General Amendment number 27, right, Lori? Thank you.
All right, Councilwoman Cook, you have the floor.
Okay, I'd like to also, on the same line here, make that general amendment to change Fund 201 to actually be, to read for account for city parks, facilities, and recreation activity, to change that fund.
Change the name of that fund.
The name of the fund, so that it's going to be called City Parks, Facilities, and Recreation Activity. Is that, can we do that?
It'll be 30 characters.
30 characters, that's it, make it short.
CTY. Just remove all the vowels. All right, is that, you're good?
CPRA.
City
it'll be
Parks and
CP
Recreation? Is that
Activity.
good,
And rec,
Melinda? City Parks and Recreation, and we'll spell it out as far as we can go.
ampersand.
City Parks, okay, so we're dropping facilities, just City Park and Recreation Activities,
Rec.
CPRA? CPRA, what can,
City Parks, we'll get it.
Okay, okay, that's what I want, thank you.
So that's a
it.
new General Amendment.
General amendment.
Number 28.
Yep. All right, thank you, Councilwoman Cook. And that eliminates the wrap-up item for number 18. The next wrap-up item is Councilwoman Cook. You had an opinion on the create fund balance. You've received that from legal. You're okay. Councilman Lazard is not here. Councilman Rubin, we are on number 32 for first wrap-up. Did you receive the item information you need, and do you have any questions? Here, why don't you buzz in? The floor is yours.
I did receive, and I tried reaching out, but I didn't get any answers, so I was wondering if anyone is here from the sheriff department. I was looking, and I didn't see. Oh, the warden, perfect.
Paula,
I didn't even see you, I've been looking for you.
number 32. Oh, he removed it. Hey, Ms. Paula, both of the mics should be live.
Good afternoon. Major of Corrections, Paula Smith.
Good afternoon. Hey, I was looking at the contractual services that we have.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I was thinking about, we have a lot of hospital visits and a lot of hospital bills. A lot of people are going to this telemed.
Telemedicine,
Telemed.
yes. And yes, we do have telemedicine equipment as well inside the facility.
So are we going to start going more to that?
We already do, sir.
And we still have that high bill?
Yes, sir. Our inmate population is not the healthiest.
Is it better than going local?
Yes. In fact, we do have arrangements with our local hospitals, so we are actually getting a cheaper or discounted rate, basically, for our expenses for the visits.
Do you get the Medicaid rate?
It's close to it, yes.
Okay, that's what I had, because I mean, that's a high, that
We
bill
had
is very high.
one individual that basically, he came in, he was on dialysis, and he went to dialysis 3 times a week, and ran up, bills to the tune of close to $1 million.
So is that why we're using all these different, because I saw different hospitals?
We try
Instead of
to
just
use-
like, instead
Correct.
of us staying like at UHC, I saw we're using a lot of different hospitals
Right, correct.
because of specifics, I guess. That's why we can't stay with this one.
Well, no, in other words, the other hospitals will be able to give us the discounted rates as well. We're not, we don't get charged more at one hospital versus the other. They're basically usually give us the same amount for the services.
Okay, thank you. That's the real question I was asking, because I know this telemed thing, a lot of things is going through there, and it can,
We're even starting to use the telemedicine equipment on our mental health patients as well, as far as when the mental health professionals visit with the inmate population, and if it's after hours or whatnot, we can basically use that equipment for them as well. So we're utilizing it.
so are we using bids for this telemed setup, or we just say, hey, we know you, we're gonna go there, or how are we doing that?
We're using it with the people that actually have that equipment in order to facilitate those services, those visits. So in other words, for the mental health professionals, we have those on staff. For a hospital a physician, will go to the hospital physician that has that equipment, which is a UHC or a Lafayette General, it's the local hospitals.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So Paula?
Councilman Nakhan has a question.
Yes,
No.
sir.
I will need to line up a meeting with you and the sheriff later, but I needed to get back to Laura on something else. I'm sorry, Warren. Please, I know we're still working on that ordinance in regards to incarceration and misdemeanors.
Misdemeanors, yes,
And I
sir.
believe we're working towards getting something on the parish council real soon that can help us save some money and put some money back into the courthouse complex fund. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you.
that's all I have, but I need to ask about something.
Okay, well, I think that's all we have for you. Thank you,
Certainly.
Warden, appreciate it. Thank
I
you
had
for
a
all-
comment for Paula,
Oh,
if you
sure,
don't
go ahead.
mind.
Sure. Floor's
Of
yours.
course, it was a plug for our budget also. So if the council adopts this budget, we're going to be moving to a different type of telehealth for our employees. And we may have some very nice telemedicine equipment that if, the jail could use it to save us some money, we'll be happy to look into trying to transfer that to you. So,
We
That sounds
welcome that. We do already have two.
Real great.
2 pieces of equipment. One Department of Corrections provided us, and then one, of course, parish government, or parish funds did, so.
yeah, this is the one where you need the registered nurse, and it has all the attachments
The
and all that
attachments.
stuff.
That would be wonderful.
Okay,
Do
well,
we need-
November 1st, start
I'll
calling
be
me.
calling you.
Do we need an ordinance in November 1st to get that all taken care of, or that's just a telephone phone call?
We got to check with the vendor and all, but
All right.
we're going to try, we don't want it to go to waste if it could save us money elsewhere.
No,
So-
absolutely.
Correct, yes.
That would be perfect.
Put that in the headlines, Councilman Nakant's trying to save money as well, you know, just saying.
Direct quote.
Instead of everybody
End quote.
saying 8% and all that stuff. All right.
And you also doubled the
All
general
right,
fund.
yeah, absolutely. And just let them know I doubled the general fund in the positive side. So,
Give it the media later. All right. Is that all the questions we have for
Thank you.
Paula?
for Paul, yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Warden.
Thank
Look,
Councilman
Yeah.
Nakane, you still have the floor.
I need Sidra and Ms. Laurie. On our agreements, we're working with on the parish parks. For example, the city of Scott. One of the things that we're working on is that so we don't commingle parish money and city money, those municipalities would be collecting the same rates that we would normally collect in recreation fees, $75 for a child. If he has another child, those cities are going to keep the fees, and then they will make a payment directly to the city of Lafayette. I got one problem. The park that I'm working on out in the unincorporated area is not in a municipality, does not have a town, okay? So those fees will need to be paid at some point because they don't have a city to write the check to the city of Lafayette. How, and if we're trying to divide and make it fair where we're not commingling money and the city of Lafayette truly doesn't have $1 of outside parish parks money coming into the system, would we make that association pay the new parish fund, 276, and then the parish would do like a budget amendment or something and transfer the money to the city?
I'm not sure if Sidra is more familiar with this than I am. Right now, I'm not that familiar with it since I didn't have any kids in recreation in Lafayette. I was a little old when I moved here. But I need to understand the flow of these funds. What are they paying for and why is it going to the city? And so we
It's for
can
like the
work-
background checks on the coaches and then the registration fees that pays the insurance for the teams. And so if you play in Scott Park, the insurance might be $220 per team that they have to pay the parish. So that's how they get the sponsorships, names on the back of the shirts by the businesses. In the current, what happens today is they collect the fees. The Parks and Recreation Department collects the fees from those outlining parish parks and deposits it into Fund 201, which is now going to be the city park correction fee. So that's why the argument when it came up about the rec centers and all that was, and what the attorney says was if you got $1, if the parish only has $1 in that city general fund, that's creating a joint ordinance, and that's why it's considered a joint vote. So I don't,
Just based on that explanation, it sounds like to me it would go to the new parish recreation fund.
that's what okay, but that parish recreation fund in an intergovernment would be basically like the passing a budget amendment transferring from there to pay the city for those fees? Because Parks and Rec, they're going to follow Parks and Rec's rules and regulation. Okay? Chime in, Sid.
I don't know how to buzz her in.
Oh, that buzzer doesn't work.
Oh.
It's on though, huh? It's on.
The mic works, but the button doesn't.
Am I hot? Okay.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying now. So the fees specifically associated with the parish recreation association, the athletic association. So as an example, we talked about the background checks. So let's just say that there's 50 volunteers at this particular park that need background checks. I could be wrong, but I think accounting-wise, we would simply say we need to charge 50 $25 background checks to the newly created park, the parish park fund, and then the funds that come in from that athletic association get attributed to that parish park fund. So the money is being pulled for the expenses from the fund and being deposited from those associations into that fund, yes?
Okay, so when we're talking to Scott, I thought part of that deal was they were going to keep the fees since the city of Scott was involved, and then the city of Scott would just deal directly with the city. But I'm talking about SWA, the only park that doesn't have that function to.
That's the one I'm specifically talking
Okay, so
about,
we would make
SWA.
them, we would allow them to pay the fees to the parish council in that new fund.
Correct.
And then the accounting would just take it out of there and reimburse. No, it would just stay with us?
It would,
We just pay the bill.
yeah, we would just pay the bill for
Gotcha.
the expenses associated with that parish park out of that parish.
So that
park fund.
agreement's going to be a little bit different than Scott, Karen Crowe, and the others? Okay.
That's, yep, my understanding.
All right, that's accounting deal. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Not seeing any other speakers. Councilman Lazard is the next one. He's not here to speak on his wrap-up. Veronica, do you know if he was wanting to pull wrap-up item number 30?
No, he did not want to pull it. It's pending. However, if any of his colleagues, he's saying, would like to provide for the $150,000 for traffic calming, he has a lot of requests for traffic calming in his district.
Okay.
So it would be taken off the pending list, but otherwise, it will still come up. It'll be something
That's fine.
pending. And the other one, too, is number 7. I had to step out the room.
Oh, go back to number 7?
Yeah, number 7, I think it is, but Glenn. Yes, and that's the wooden light poles, and I know they put in earlier the $1.6 million for city street light poles. So if anyone want to offer it, or it could be handled at final adoption. It would be marked as pending.
Okay, does anyone want to, you're saying, does anyone want to offer it as a general amendment?
Yes.
Would anybody like to offer number 7 as a general amendment? Well, it's city, so really, wrap up.
No, not, it wouldn't be, yeah, wrap up item number 7.
She had to step out the room, that's why we're having to go back. She's answering for Councilman Lazard, who's not here, so we had to jump back to one that she knew about.
Okay. Well,
That was
I'm a little bit
from the-
behind the time, so I can't
That
help
was
you
from
with
what the general fund
7.
that she did earlier.
But I did want
The
to
city.
bring your attention to something you mentioned about traffic calming.
Okay,
So
we'll-
nothing on number 7, though? No.
That's LUS, no?
Right, that's LUS in it.
okay, so, but you were saying one of us can offer that as a general
Correct.
amendment.
Correct. Okay.
All right, Councilwoman Cook's going to offer number 7 as a general amendment, so it'll be removed from wrap-up.
Number 7 as a general amendment, there's no dollar amount or anything. I don't know that you have the information.
Oh, I thought you just said that he received the information and got the,
He hadn't received information, but she had put earlier you guys put 1.6 million back in city street lights. And
Right.
by final,
Your
you
general
could get the
fund.
cost. It could be a general amendment, but the amount could be attached at final.
These are two unrelated things, the city streetlights and this, unrelated.
Okay,
all right, never mind.
never mind, we'll leave it at
So
wrap-up.
leave it as a
Pending.
wrap-up. Okay, and you wanted to go back to
Traffic calming.
traffic calming?
And I just heard you say that something about Mr. Lazard was looking for money for traffic calming?
That was just a wrap-up, and she was saying that he was looking for it, that's all. No
Okay.
action.
Right, it's a pending item number 39.
Number 39?
Wrap-up
So-
item number 39.
So, okay, so I just wanted to, after just speaking with the mayor, point out that the marshal, from the same city money, the marshal had taken out 2 vehicles from the
Yeah.
budget. While it's not the amount of money that Mr. Lazard is looking for, you could use that same money for traffic calming in the city.
Well, let's wait until Mr. Lazar gets here so he can be a part of that conversation, because I believe he's supposed to be calling in for the actual budget. So let's just leave it.
And what is that amount of the 2 vehicles, so I could let them know? Approximately.
90,000?
90, oh, that's
So it wouldn't be enough anyway. All right, so let's just leave it. All right? I know.
And that's all I have. You're number 40 now.
Okay.
Well, maybe it's not 90,000. We'll double check on that and get back with you.
Okay, thank you.
And then, but you said you were done. You didn't want to speak on that. He pulled it. I said he pulled it. So I'll say it again. Number 40, Councilman Rubin requested that we pull number
Okay.
40.
Oh, great.
You received the information he needed. And then that's all for wrap-up items, unless council members, do you have anything? I see CFO, you're still buzzed in. Do you have anything?
No, ma'am?
Good. All right. All right, now, all right, now, comments from the public regarding the 2021 budget. Do we have any comments from the public?
No, ma'am.
All right, well, the final adoption of the 2020-2021 budget is scheduled for Thursday, September 17th at 5:30 PM at the special joint council meeting with a special LPPA meeting immediately following. And with that, meeting adjourned. Thank you all so much. Have a good evening.